The jungle was not quiet. It never was. Jake stood outside his broken escape pod, wiping sweat from his forehead. His shirt clung to his back. The green sky above flickered with lightning that made no sound. The planet, called Tarnus 4, had strange rules. Sound traveled wrong here. Time felt slow. Even his wrist computer gave wrong readings. He didn't mean to land here. He was just a scout. One small ship. One man. A simple mission. But when the meteor storm hit, he had no choice. Crash or burn. Now he was stuck. Jake picked up a metal rod and twisted a few bolts. He had tried fixing the engine for the last 4 hours. But something was off. Every tool he used broke or bent. "Stupid planet," he whispered. Suddenly he heard it, a scream. Not like an animal. A scream that sounded human. High-pitched, painful, long. Then, silence. Jake froze. He looked toward the jungle. His eyes narrowed. That was no bird. That was no echo. That was a person. Or something trying to sound like one. "Impossible," he whispered again. His ship log said no human life was ever recorded here, only strange plants and wild alien tribes. Still, he grabbed his light stick, switched it on. The green glow pulsed in his hand like a heartbeat. Then he walked toward the trees. The jungle swallowed him instantly, thick vines wrapped around the trees like snakes. Some leaves were bigger than his whole body. Insects buzzed, but he couldn't see them. Flowers opened as he passed and closed when he stepped away. After 10 minutes of walking, the scream came again, closer this time. Jake's heart raced. His boots sank into soft, damp moss. Suddenly, a shadow darted past behind him. He turned fast, holding up the light. Nothing, just trees, just leaves, just his own shaking breath. He kept walking. Then he heard something strange. Drums. Faint but real. Thump, 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 thump. Followed by low, chanting voices. He crept closer, carefully, quietly. Through the thick trees he saw light. Orange. Warm, dancing light. He dropped low and crawled forward. Through bushes. Over roots. Until he could see them. A large clearing. In the center, a giant fire. And around it, figures. Tall, thin, painted in glowing dust. Alien, tribal, their faces covered in bone masks, and their eyes shining yellow in the firelight. They were dancing, jumping, chanting. Jake's eyes moved to the center of the fire, and he froze. Above the flames, tied to a slow-turning spit like meat, was a girl. She wasn't human, not fully. Her skin was silver blue, glowing slightly. Her eyes, huge and full of pain, locked on Jake's as he stared from the shadows. She was alive, burned, weak, but alive. Jake's stomach turned. His grip tightened on the light stick. One of the tribal aliens stepped closer to the fire and turned the spit slowly. The girl let out a weak cry. The others cheered. Drums grew louder. Jake knew he had to do something. But what? He was one man. No weapons, no backup. No idea what he was even looking at. Then the girl opened her mouth and whispered something. He didn't understand the words, but her voice reached him, and it hit his heart like a knife. Please. That one word. That one moment. It was enough. Jake stood up, still hidden behind the trees. He grabbed a small emergency flare from his belt. "Let's make some noise," he muttered. He pulled the flare. A blinding white light exploded from his hand. The tribal aliens screamed, covering their eyes. Drums stopped. Jake ran, straight into the firelight, straight toward the girl. He tackled the pole, grabbed the ropes, and pulled her off in one quick motion. She collapsed into his arms, too weak to walk. The tribe saw him now. Their masks turned toward him. They shouted something. Spears were raised. Jake didn't wait. He ran, carrying the alien girl, crashing through the jungle, dodging trees. Behind him, screams rose. Drums pounded again. But now it was the rhythm of the hunt. The jungle roared louder. The leaves shook. But Jake didn't stop. He just kept running. The jungle behind him screamed with drums. Jake didn't look back. He was running, fast, breathing hard, holding the alien girl in his arms. She was light as air, burning hot. Her skin glowed like soft metal. She was whispering something. Again and again. Farka, Farka. He didn't understand. But her voice was weak, like a dying flame. Branches slapped his face. Mud pulled at his boots. Insects buzzed around his ears. The drums behind him were getting louder. But Jake didn't. Stop, not now, his shelter was near. He just needed to reach it. 10 minutes later, he saw the clearing. His heart dropped. Everything was gone. The shelter he built from ship parts and branches and was ashes. His gear scattered and broken. His fire pit smashed and on the ground. Tribal footprints, large, deep, clawed. Jake cursed under his breath. He looked around. No one in sight, not yet. He laid the alien girl down on the only dry patch of grass he could find. She opened her eyes, barely. "You're safe now," he said. She shook her head slowly. "Not safe." Then her eyes rolled back. She fainted. Jake looked at her arms, burned, rope marks, skin cracked and bleeding. He tore part of his shirt and began wrapping her wounds. Her body was strange. No bones, only soft tissue. Her blood wasn't red. It was a glowing silver liquid. It shimmered, even in the dark. "What the hell are you?" Jake whispered. Suddenly a voice echoed behind him, not loud, but wrong. A whisper that sounded like it came from inside his head. "You shouldn't have taken her." Jake stood up fast and grabbed his light stick. He pointed it toward the trees. Nothing. Then, he turned and froze. On the tree bark behind him, fresh marks. Symbols scratched into the wood. Not human. Not tribal. They were moving. Sliding like worms. Rearranging themselves. Jake backed away slowly. His right hand, began to tingle. He looked down. His fingers were turning black, like ink, was spreading under his skin. He blinked. It was gone. "Just tired," he muttered. Just scared, but he knew better. Something was wrong. He turned back to the girl. She was awake again. She stared at him. "You touched me," she said softly. "Why did you touch me?" Jake frowned. "You were burning alive." "What did you expect me to do? Watch." She looked away. "Now you will burn too." Jake laughed, nervously. "Great. You're welcome." But her face stayed serious. "They will come for you. Not just the tribe. The hollow ones too." Jake sat down beside her. "Okay. Start from the beginning. Who are you?" She closed her eyes. "Kayla." He nodded. "I'm Jake." Kayla didn't speak again. But after a few minutes, she reached out, touched his wrist. "You don't know what you've done." Jake opened his mouth to ask more, but then the drums stopped. Not slowed, stopped, all at once. The jungle became dead silent. Kayla looked at him, eyes wide with fear. Too late. Then, they heard it. Not drums, not screams, not footsteps. Low sound, like metal grinding stone. From the trees. Shadows moved, not the tribal aliens. These were different, tall, armored, no faces, the hollow ones. Jake stood up fast, his breath caught in his throat. The hollow ones stepped into the clearing. 5 of them, weapons that looked like bones and lightning. One of them raised its hand and pointed at Jake. "You carry the mark," it said, voice like metal and whispers. Jake stepped back. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You touched the cursed," the hollow one hissed. "Now you must carry the fire." Kayla cried out, "No, he saved me. He doesn't know." The hollow one looked at her. "He touched you. The bond is sealed." Jake didn't understand any of it. But when the Hollow ones began surrounding them. He knew only one thing: he needed to fight, or run, or die. The hollow one stepped forward. Jake's heart pounded. His hands shook. Kayla tried to stand, but her legs gave out. The bone-armored creatures surrounded them in a slow, ritual-like movement. The sky above them crackled with silent lightning. One, Hollow One raised a glowing staff and spoke in a voice like stone breaking inside his skull. "You carry the mark." Jake backed away. "I didn't ask for any mark." His right hand began to burn, not with fire, but with something colder than ice. He looked down. His skin was turning gray like old stone, and glowing symbols were crawling up his wrist, moving by themselves. Kayla screamed, "Stop! Don't touch him again. He doesn't know." The Hollow One paused. "He touched you. That is enough. The old bond is awakened." Jake's voice cracked. "What bond? What did I touch?" Kyla looked up at him. Tears slid from her eyes like silver rain. "It's my fault," she whispered. "I should have died on that fire." Jake grabbed her shoulder. "No. You need to tell me what's happening." Now Kayla closed her eyes and finally, she spoke. "Long ago," Kayla explained, "her kind were blessed and cursed by something ancient, the Varka flame. It lived inside certain girls born under the blood star. It gave power, light, even healing, but it also killed anyone who stayed near. Too long. Only one species was ever able to survive the bond, humans, but humans disappeared from the stars long ago. The old record said they went silent, lost, maybe dead. So when Kyla was born, her people believed she would be the last carrier of the flame. No human left to contain it. No one left to bond with her. She was meant to die in ritual fire, alone, as sacrifice to keep the flame from destroying her entire planet. But Jake touched her, and now the flame had moved into him. Jake sat silent. His cursed hand now pulsed with strange heat. "So you're saying I have some kind of ancient alien fire curse inside me?" Kayla nodded. "And it's waking up, fast." Jake laughed. "Just once. It was dry, bitter. Great. This day keeps getting better." Kayla held her chest. "You must leave me." Jake frowned. "That's not happening. You'll die," she said. Jake stood up. "Maybe, but you already almost did. I won't watch that again." She stared at him like he was insane. "You're not like the others," she whispered. Jake looked around. The Hollow Ones were gone, just like that, no sound, no trace, as if they never came, but the trees. They were now marked with hundreds of glowing symbols, all in a circle around Jake and Kayla. He stepped toward one. The symbol moved under his breath and whispered in his own voice, "Flamebringer." He stumbled back. Kayla looked at him in shock. "They've chosen you. The Hollow Ones believe you're the one from the prophecy." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Oh no, not this again." "There is a legend," Kayla said, voice shaking, "that when a human touches the Varka flame and survives, he becomes its master, the one who will awaken the old weapon beneath this planet." Jake stared at her. "What weapon?" Her voice dropped. "The soul engine." Suddenly, Jake's cursed hand exploded in light. Not fire, not ice, something else. Pure, glowing energy, white and blue, shot from his palm into the ground. Trees around them shook. Rocks lifted into the air. Kayla screamed. Jake fell back, gasping. "What was that?" he whispered. Kayla crawled toward him, her face pale. "It's beginning," she said. "You've opened the seal." "What seal?" "I didn't mean to." She gripped his arm. "It doesn't matter. Now the whole jungle will come for us, the tribe, the Hollow Ones, the planet itself." In the distance, a loud horn echoed, a deep, monstrous sound. Kayla's eyes widened. "That's the tribe's war horn." Jake stood, still dizzy from the energy blast. "How many of them?" Kayla didn't answer. She just whispered, "All of them." The jungle did not sleep that night. From far away, a horn echoed again. Low, dark, angry. Jake stood still, hand still glowing faintly from the last energy blast. Kayla leaned against him, her breathing heavy. "They're coming," she whispered. "The whole tribe, they will hunt you until your bones are dust." Jake looked down at his hand. The curse symbols had spread to his elbow now. It didn't hurt anymore, it felt strong, like power was waiting inside him. Hungry. "Let them come," he said softly. "I'm done running." Kayla stared at him. "You don't understand, these aren't just hunters. They ride beasts, they trap minds, they chant your name before they kill you." Jake didn't blink. "Then I want to hear it." They moved quickly. Jake helped Kayla walk. She was still weak. Her body glowed faintly in the dark, lighting the path like a living lantern. Birds flew overhead, silent, watching. The jungle was changing. Trees bent away from Jake as he passed. Flowers turned to face him. The ground pulsed beneath his feet. Kayla noticed. "It's already begun." "What is?" "The planet is waking up to your presence." Jake frowned. "That sounds bad." Kayla didn't answer. Because ahead of them, footsteps, heavy, fast, dozens. Jake pulled Kayla behind a large root, peered through the thick green leaves, and saw them. The hunters, painted in blood, covered in bark armor, faces hidden by bone masks. Each one held a weapon, some made of crystal, some made of bone. But the worst part? They were riding creatures that looked like giant six-legged lizards with glowing red eyes and steam rising from their backs. Jake whispered, "What are those things?" Kayla answered quietly, "They're called Rakthas. Once they taste your scent, they never stop hunting." The lead hunter pointed toward the north, right where Jake and Kayla had come from. "Find the fire thief!" the hunter shouted. The Rakthas roared. Jake held Kayla tight. "We need to move." But Kayla gripped his arm. "There's a cave nearby, old, forgotten. The hollow ones once used it. They won't follow us in there." Jake nodded. "Lead the way." They ran, fast. Branches snapped behind them. The lizards were sniffing the trail. Jake jumped over fallen logs, carried Kayla over puddles glowing with blue spores. The jungle felt alive now, watching, breathing, judging. Finally, Kayla pointed to a wall of vines. Behind there, she gasped. "The cave." Jake slashed through the vines with a sharp stick. Behind them, dark stone, a narrow opening. He squeezed through, pulling Kayla behind him. Inside, it was cold. Still, like stepping into death. The air smelled like old ash and stone, and on the walls, ancient carvings. Jake lifted his light stick. Symbols. Thousands of them. All glowing faintly. One showed a human figure standing before a massive machine. Another showed the same human with fire coming from his eyes. Kayla stared at the wall. "It's real. The soul engine. The prophecy. You're him." Jake shook his head. "No, I'm just a guy who followed a scream." She stepped closer. "You woke something. Even the hollow ones don't understand it." Then, the ground shook, a small tremor. Dust fell from the cave ceiling. Outside, the hunters stopped. One of them looked toward the sky. "The ground has spoken," he said. "The old god stirs." Inside the cave, something moved. A soft rumble. Then, a sound, click, click, click. Jake turned toward the deeper tunnel. From the darkness, a metal claw emerged, old, rusted, but still moving. Behind it, something massive. A machine with a face made of shifting symbols. A guardian. Kayla grabbed Jake's hand. "It's a test." "A what?" "It guards the path to the soul engine. Only the chosen can pass." The machine looked at Jake and spoke with a voice that sounded like 100 dead stars. "Flamebringer, show your fire, or be destroyed." Jake felt his cursed hand pulse. Something inside him wanted to respond. He raised his hand, and a white flame appeared in his palm. Not hot, not cold, just pure. The guardian scanned it, then slowly backed into the wall, opening a path of light and stone. Kyla stared in awe. Jake exhaled. Guess that worked. The cave became brighter as Jake stepped through the stone door, not from lights, but from the walls themselves. They pulsed softly, like veins under skin, glowing with pale blue light that responded to Jake's presence. Kayla followed, her steps weak but eyes wide. She looked at the glowing floor, the breathing walls, and the ceiling filled with floating dust that moved like stars. "This is it," she whispered. "This is the path to the soul engine." Jake said nothing. He felt something inside him. Not fear, not pain, but recognition. Like his blood had walked here before. They walked in silence. At the end of the hallway, a great door stood. Carved from dark metal, symbols older than any language covered it. Kayla walked forward and pressed her palm against the door. Nothing happened. Then Jake stepped beside her. The cursed hand, now almost fully covered in shifting symbols, glowed. The door opened. Not slowly, not loudly, just silently. Behind it was a massive chamber. In the center of the chamber stood a machine, huge, towering, covered in wires and roots, sleeping. Its core was a glowing orb, floating in the air, pulsing like a heart, the soul engine. Around it, statues of different alien races knelt. All had cracks, all had eyes carved in fear. At the far wall, a giant mural stretched across black stone. It showed a human holding a flame, and beside him, an alien girl with light pouring from her body. Together, they stood before the soul engine, and behind them, galaxies burning. Kayla stared at the mural. "That's us," she said, barely breathing. "Barely. That's you." Jake frowned. "I don't believe in fate." Kayla stepped closer. "It doesn't matter what you believe. The flame chose you, and now, we're part of the prophecy." Suddenly, Kayla's body began to glow. Her skin shimmered, like silver fire. Light poured from her hands, from her chest. Her eyes became too bright to look at. Jake ran to her. "Kayla!" She fell to her knees. "It's happening. The bond is merging." Jake grabbed her, held her close. Her body was burning, but not like before. It wasn't pain. It was power trying to escape. "The flame can't stay inside me anymore," she said through gritted teeth. "It's choosing you fully." Jake looked at the soul engine. "What happens if I take it?" Kayla looked up. "You become something else." The ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. A voice, deep, robotic, ancient, filled the room. "You are the carrier. You are the fire. Complete the bond, or the galaxy ends." Jake helped Kayla to her feet. He stepped forward. The soul engine opened, revealing a space like a cradle of energy. Jake stepped inside. As soon as he touched it, memories not his own flooded him. He saw planets falling, wars of light and dark, alien empires begging for help, and one thing in all visions, a human standing at the center of it all. Was it him? Was it someone before him? It didn't matter now. His cursed hand touched the core and everything went white. Kayla screamed, but not in pain. Her voice rose like music, and the chamber echoed with power. The soul engine lit up. Symbols on the walls began to move. The statues cracked open. Inside them, energy beings stirred, awakening from ancient sleep. The soul engine spoke one final line. "The Flamebringer has returned. The trial ends. The war begins." Jake fell to the ground. Smoke rose from his skin. Kayla crawled to him. His eyes opened. They glowed like the sun. She whispered, "You're not just human anymore." Jake looked at her. "Neither are you." Outside the cave, the jungle exploded, in light. The hunters screamed. The Hollow Ones stopped marching, because above the trees, a beam of white light shot into the sky, as if the planet itself had been pierced. Every tribe, every watcher, every enemy knew something had awakened. The moment Jake stepped out of the cave, the jungle fell silent. No wind, no insects, no drums. Only a heavy silence that felt like the air was watching him. Kayla walked beside him, her silver glow now calm, but her eyes showed fear. She looked at the sky. The white beam from the soul engine still cut through the clouds like a sword. "That light, it's a signal," she whispered. Jake narrowed his eyes. "To who?" Kayla looked down. "To those who never wanted you to exist." Far away, the tribal hunters saw the light too. They dropped their weapons. They knelt, not in worship, but in terror. "The old god returns," one of them whispered. Another screamed, "Sound the horns, summon the beasts. We fight or we die." And then it began, the war cry of 1,000 tribes. Across the jungle, horns blew, fires rose, and massive creatures were awakened from cages made of bone and vines. These weren't the Rakthas. These were worse. Creatures with 3 heads, claws like swords, and bodies made of stone and flesh. The tribes called them Goraks, living weapons of old times. And now they were coming. Kayla sensed them. They're marching. Not just this jungle. From every direction. Jake looked at his cursed hand, now fully glowing with white and blue. Fire. "Then we don't run. You'll be outnumbered," Kayla said, "even with the flame inside you." Jake smiled. "We don't need numbers." They reached a cliff that overlooked the valley. What Jake saw made his chest tighten. Army, thousands of warriors, hunters, painted bodies, banners with ancient symbols. Behind them, the beasts, massive, growling, eyes glowing with hate. But Jake also saw something else. At the back of the army stood a figure, not tribal, not hollow one, not alive. It wore black armor with moving shadows. Its face was a mask of mirrors, no eyes, no mouth, only reflections. Kayla froze. "No, not him, not now." "Who is that?" Jake asked. She whispered, "The Collector, the one who eats chosen ones, the enemy of the flame." Jake clenched his fist. "Then he's here for me." The first wave of enemies charged. Drums pounded. The Goraks ran with thunderous steps. Jake raised his hand. The white flame exploded from his body, not like fire, but like light with weight. It cut the air. It bent the trees. Kayla held out her hand too, and together they created a barrier of light that stopped the first beasts, but it wouldn't last long. Jake turned to her. "We need to divide them, break the army's mind." Kayla nodded. "Then let's burn their fear into the ground." Together they stepped down from the cliff. The tribe saw them glowing, walking like stars. Some warriors ran. Some screamed, but most charged in anger. Jake opened his arms. The flame answered. The ground cracked beneath his feet. Roots burned as he stepped. He slammed his hand into the earth, and a wave of light shot forward, knocking back an entire line of warriors. Kayla summoned shards of silver wind from her palms. They sliced through enemy armor like paper. The war had begun. But the Collector didn't move. He simply watched. Then he raised his hand, and the sky turned black. From above, black spheres began to fall. They landed around Jake and Kayla, opening into twisted creatures made of smoke and bone. They screamed without mouths. They moved without feet. Jake gasped. "What are these things?" Kayla's voice shook. "Memories, twisted ones. He's using forgotten pain to fight us." Jake was surrounded, the warriors, the beasts, the memories, and beyond them, the Collector himself. He took a step forward and finally spoke. A whisper. A chill. "You are not the first flame bearer, but you will be the last." Jake felt something rise inside him, not just power, not just fire. Rage. The Collector had destroyed others like him. killed flame bearers, taken their light. But this time, Jake wasn't alone. Kayla took his hand. Their glow became one, and the jungle lit up with pure light. The jungle was no longer green. It burned with silver and white light. Jake stood in the center of a broken battlefield, breathing hard. His body glowed with fire from within. His eyes, no longer human. His blood, no longer red. Around him, the tribal beasts had fallen. The memory creatures faded into dust. The warriors had either fled or dropped to their knees, whispering his name in fear. But it wasn't over. The sky cracked open, and the collector floated down like a falling shadow. Silent, calm, cold. His voice echoed inside Jake's mind. You were born in flame but stolen from truth. Your real name is not Jake. It is Valor. And you are mine. Jake stepped forward, his feet melting the soil. I'm not yours. Not now. Not ever. Kayla stood beside him, her light flickering. She was weakening. The bond was breaking. The collector's mirror mask showed Jake his own face covered in flame and war. You were made to rule, he said, but love makes you weak. He raised one hand, and Kayla dropped to her knees, screaming. Her body split with glowing cracks. Her chest pulsed like it would explode. Jake ran to her, held her tight. Stay with me, Kayla whispered. You must choose. The engine still listens. Jake looked up. The soul engine still floated above them, watching like a silent god. 1. Choice. Become its heart and erase the collector forever. But if he did that, Kayla, the one carrying the bond, would be consumed in the light, or let Kayla live, and the collector would rise again stronger and tear the stars apart. The ground shook. The collector raised both arms. Storms of black flame rose around him. You love her, he said. Then break her. Jake stood. His body lifted off the ground. White fire exploded around him. He reached toward the soul engine, and it spoke. Choose, flame bearer, love or power. One will die. Jake looked at Kayla. She was crying, but smiling. I was meant to die in fire anyway, she whispered. At least this time. It was worth it, Jake shouted. No. But the choice was his alone. He could feel it. The engine opening itself to his soul. Offering him the universe. Offering him gods to kneel. Wars to win. Stars to hold. But in that vision, Kayla wasn't there. And that's when he knew what to do. He turned away from the engine. He dropped to the ground. And he held Kayla tight. I choose you, he said. The collector laughed. Then you both die. He raised a spear of darkness, but the engine did not agree. The soul engine pulsed once, twice, then exploded in a soundless wave of pure white light. It passed through Jake, through Kayla, through the collector, and in. One final deafening silence. The collector was erased from time, not killed, unwritten. Jake woke up in the jungle. The sky was blue again. No drums. No fire, no light, just Kayla lying beside him, alive, her silver skin now warm and soft. Her glow gone, but her eyes full of peace. Jake sat up. His cursed hand was normal now. No flame, no power, just human. Kayla smiled. You chose love, she said. Jake smiled back. Guess I'm still me after all. Far above them, the stars blinked, and somewhere, deep in the ruins of the soul engine, a new carving formed on black stone. A man and a girl. Not gods, not monsters, just two souls who refused to burn alone.